Milton, Pennsylvania. 27 years old, won 4 regional titles.
Well, an inauspicious start, Chris. In the last couple of years, they have really struggled on the championship pair, 59 and 60 here at the Showboat. And Andy Neuer starts off with some major problems here. The 2-4-7-10 split. Get the ball to the left of the two pin and drive it into the 10.
Nearly. Devastating open frame in the very first. And stepping in now, Hugh Miller. He's 6 titles, one of the 35 in today's field. Okay, beautiful shot. 1990, he was 5th here in Las Vegas at the Showboat Lanes.
Hugh Miller, kind of one of the secrets of professional bowling. He was an erratic player up until he was 30 years old, and he's 36 now. But since he has turned 30, he's had a phenomenal 70% cash rate on the PBA Tour, and that's experience paying off and good conditioning.
So now he'll be faced with that situation on the left lane as we replay, Bo, that last shot.
Well, both the southpaws going high on the left-hand lane. You noticed how low Hugh Miller looked towards the foul line. He spots right down at the foul line. We've worked with the dots and arrows in past weeks. Hugh Miller looks right at the foul line.
Beautifully done. Well, extra hard beater too, but that's the way these professionals, you see that happen so often, able to convert. Now, let's see if this non-winner, Andy Neuer, can bounce back after first opening frame. Good. That'll help, won't it, Bo?
Well, that'll loosen him up, Chris. He gets a good break crossing over, and Neuer is just a kind of a solid player out here all the time. He has a pretty ideal style. Watch how he pushes the ball out to the left, but then he gets it a little bit behind his back, but keeps the ball so close to his right leg as he comes through. He just didn't quite have the ball speed on that. Andy, when he was bowling very well during the week, kept the ball speed up. Has to be aggressive.
My, oh my.
Well, once again, trouble on the left-hand lane. Now, in previous years, we haven't had many left-handers in the championship round. The righties have always struggled on the right-hand lane. You see the lefties struggling on the left-hand lane. The 3-7, get the ball to the right of the 3 and drive it into the 7.
We're getting our early tips of the week, Nelson.
They need to make an adjustment tip, get that ball in the pocket, because you can't make those splits forever. Now, Hugh Miller leads by 11.
Beautiful, powerful strike by Hugh Miller. Hugh elaborated earlier on a special hobby experience. Hugh?
Well, every summer, the unlimited hydroplanes come to Lake Washington in Seattle, and I really enjoy taking pictures and video. This summer, I just happened to get a video of a very spectacular accident. It was used on television, the local affiliate, and ESPN used it, and the local TV announcer, Steve Rabel, told me that I was in the wrong profession, so maybe I'll change careers one of these days.
Well, come and see Jack Cronin up here on one of our cameras. He's the world's best, so you know you. See Jack.
Interesting shot there, both off the lanes of the hydroplane accident and Hugh Miller's shot there. He made the adjustment on the lane for the high shot in the second frame, moved to the right on the approach and hit a light. Broke down the 5-6-10, gets an easy spare.
Okay, we're in Las Vegas. There are high elevations in this area. A panoramic view of nearby Lake Mead. Look. Our very first match is nearing a halfway point, and Hugh Miller has an 11-10 lead on Andy Neuer. This is Andy, excuse me, on the right lane.
Andy just completely lost, and he has never really done extremely well in the championship rounds. He's 3-4 record with a 203 average, and that's not going to get you any titles. He has to think his way through this early going in this match and not get too far behind.
Sustained influenza earlier in the week, and it's really had an effect on him, but he said that with each round he seemed to get stronger, but maybe some of the effects showing here today. Andy Neuer needed a sponsor a few years ago, and here's how he got one.
I was kind of fortunate. I was practicing one day, and Steven, my sponsor, seen me practicing, and he come up and asked me if I ever needed any money to let him know. And we started in the regional program. I won a couple regionals, and then we came on the national tour. And I made a couple shows, and so far been holding my own.
I like that, somebody coming up to you and saying, do you need any money, Bill?
That's it. Well, I'd go to you first, partner.
I know. All right. But Andy is really a neat guy, 27 years old. Hugh Miller is a real veteran, 14 years, 6 PBA titles. That was a 5th frame shot with a spare working.
Well, once again, we see some players struggling on the championship round here in Las Vegas. Hugh Miller playing an inside line, throws the ball a little bit hard. The 3-5-9 spare to keep in the 9 pin. Avoid the chop with a 3 off the 5 and take out the 9.
Hugh's been on a lot of telecasts. This is his 20th, and you probably heard me talk in the past about his grandmother, Stella Urquhart, who has a historic ranch outside of Great Falls, Montana. Part of the Lewis and Clark journey from the Missouri River happened there, and Mr. and Mrs. Red Urquhart are in person here in the audience, Bo, watching their nephew bowl away.
And doing quite well, as he has a 26-pin lead through 5 frames. Well, for the folks at home that hear us talk about 9 300s this week at the Showboat, and then all of a sudden we come on the air and they have this type of bowling that you could almost find in league play, the only real explanation is this championship here, Chris, year after year, has not yielded scores for a number of years, and it looks like it's going to happen despite the left-handers today.
Hugh Miller. Now, Andy Neuer, baseball player in high school, 5'9", 165 pounds, his 5th television appearance.
Andy Neuer with the full grip, medium swing, playing extreme outside line. And Chris, nothing seems to be working for these guys. You got one lefty playing in around the 3rd arrow and the other one out on the edge.
If you hear pinfall, that's the only right-hander here today, and that's our king of the hill, Ron Williams, warming up to meet the winner of the Las Vegas tournament. Okay, continuing to mark. That was a spare in the 6th frame, trailing by 24, so he's got to start striking. Capacity crowd here. Well, 106 lanes here, 70 in this portion of it, newly decorated and beautiful. 6,500 league bowlers. Can you believe that?
Boy, oh boy, what a great operation. Largest bowling center in the United States. Well, Chris, they're doing a whole series of bowling tips here for us.
They are.
The 2-4-7-8. You see Andy Neuer, that extreme outside line, kind of raising up at the line. And this is a tough spare.
First match in Las Vegas, where games of chance are ever present.
Let's begin next on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Figure skating, but right now, it's the best in bowling from Las Vegas. One of the best is Hugh Miller, leading by 28 in our first match against Andy Neuer. What a break, right, Hugh?
Well, in match game play, when you see your opponent struggling, as Andy Neuer is struggling, Hugh Miller with that 25-pin lead or 27-pin lead now, needs to just stay out of trouble and get marks. It doesn't look like Neuer can mount any challenge at all, but Hugh Miller avoids the 6-8 split, has a very simple spare. In his first 6 matches ever in the championship round, he was 6-0 with 2 Quaker State titles, but he only missed 1 spare, and that's his key. Fill those frames.
And, of course, that's where we head next week, to the Forum, Jeannie Halsey's Forum, the Quaker State Open. Here's Johnny Petraglia.
Thanks, Chris. Parker, last week you won the title, and then in the King of the Hill match, it looked like you had just a little bit of a letdown. What are you going to do this week, should you get to the King of the Hill match, to prepare differently?
Well, when I get to the King of the Hill match, I'm just going to play it as a new game and go out there. I have 10 new frames. I'm going to go out there and beat my opponent, which is Ron.
Good luck, buddy.
All right. Parker Bone in third, who won last week in Phoenix, as you remember, and Johnny Petraglia, one of our Triple Crown champions, former president of the PBA, and Mr. Neat Guy. For Andy Neuer, only his second strike of this match, Bo.
You're right, Chris, and Neuer, who has really struggled, has an outside chance to win.
Next Saturday, the world's top bowlers. Yes, they'll try to strike it rich again, this time in Texas. Current King of the Hill, Ron Williams, leads the field at Grand Prairie for the $200,000 Quaker State Open. That's next Saturday at a special time. There's a special strike in the foundation frame for Andy Neuer. The time next week for Hugh Miller, who won there twice, 1 Eastern and Pacific, 12 noon Central on ABC Sports.
Well, Neuer stays right in the match with that double. Gets a crossover in the 8th frame, his first good shot in the 9th, and puts some pressure on Hugh Miller. Look at this, Chris. What a turnaround.
4, 6, 10. Good.
Well, right now, as the match sets, we're going to figure that the 4, 6, 10, that Hugh Miller gets the 6 and 10 pins. That would give him 162 through the 8th frame, or 9th frame, and he would only lead by 5 pins going into the 10th. And that's what it is. Comes down to the last shot. Amazing sport. Andy Neuer has lived on a thread. He got a crossover Brooklyn strike in the 2nd frame, converted the 3-7 split in the 3rd, and yet he's in position to possibly take the match. And he hasn't been close on the right lane yet. What's going through his mind?
Ooh. With a great deal of authority, that strike.
Well, Hugh came up with a pretty aggressive shot in the 9th frame and pulled it a little bit and paid the penalty with this 4-6-10 split. However, with a strike here, he would be in the 190s in a decent count. He cannot shut out Andy Neuer. Miller, a potential 192. Neuer, if he finishes with strikes in the 10th frame, 197. It's up for grabs.
Well, Hugh, with his gesture, you saw, did not like that, and who would?
Well, he gave it a little room, and the ball just never bit the lane. I'll bet you that ball didn't turn over 3 times on the way down the lane, just sliding in the oil. Leaves the 136. A conversion here would give him 182. Andy Neuer is going to need 1 strike to win the tournament.
Okay, pressure shot coming up as Parker Bone III continues to stay loose, as does Mike Albee, our tournament leader. Those are the next 2 bowlers, one after the other, you'll see, in this head-to-head competition.
Neuer must strike on this ball. No good, pal. He gave it room.
He did.
But leaves the 3-pin. He'll be 176. If he spares and strikes, it's going to be Hugh Miller against Parker Bone in the semifinals.
As we repeat again, of our 4 finalists, they are all left-handers. Hugh Miller, winner of this first match, won twice at Grand Prairie, and he, of course, will be going there and will bring the finals of him today. New time, 1 Eastern. Okay, it's 182 to 176. On move to Miller. ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will return